The military in Guinea-Bissau have successfully taken over the reins of power. They have pushed the democratically elected government away, and they are now ruling. This adds to the growing number of countries in West Africa that are engaging or that are coming to power through military coups. The question is, has democracy really delivered on its promises? Do we as a people really need democracy as a form of governance? In this video, I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts on what I think will be best for us as a people in terms of governance. If you like content like this, kindly subscribe to my channel. It helps the channel grow. And then also share it with your friends. Also make sure that you drop comments about some of the things I will say, whether you agree or disagree. Make sure that you send me your comments, and then I will deal with it justly. So let's go on. Okay, so now, like I said, the military in Guinea-Bissau have actually taken over reins of power. They have, in fact, they suspect that the incumbent president has meddled with the results, and therefore the result isn't really the will of the people. So they quickly had to step in to come and ensure that the right things are done, and that the will of the people actually supersedes individual will. That said, that is very true, and that is good. I do not in any way promote violence, but I believe that every society or every group of people have the right to decide their future, to decide how they want to be governed, and the systems of governance should not be pushed down a people's throats. They'll have to decide as to what to do. First of all, Africans as we are made to believe that naturally Africans are undemocratic, but that is a lie. You know, when the colonial master came to Africa, they saw that we had a system of governance. And what's our system of governance? Chiefly, almost every tribe or every society in Africa, we have chiefs. And these chiefs lead us, and then they help us to achieve our aspirations as a society. These chiefs were very powerful, yes, they were. But they also had the sacred duty of keeping intact the values and norms of the society, to make sure that the society will go on and progress. Now, these people brought our colonial masters brought something to us that they called democracy. And they said we were undemocratic. Now, mind you, they defined what democracy is. And then they forced this new form of governance on us. They did not give us the chance to also define democracy on our own terms, but they defined it and then forced it on us and said, now, if you agree to this form of governance, or we are going to withhold so and so and so and so from you. So we have to agree to that form of governance, even if it's not working for us. With this new form of governance called democracy, the politicians in Africa are using it to exploit us. They are using it to keep us impoverished, uneducated, ill-informed, so that we do not hold them accountable. This is the very tool that is being used. The colonial masters know very well what democracy, their definition of democracy, will do for us. So as Africans, we signed on to a whole lot of charters and a whole lot of systems that were not designed to make us develop. By their definition of democracy, it weakens the power and influence of our leaders, that is our chiefs. And when the power and influence of these chiefs were weakened, it gave them power to infiltrate. It gave them power to come in and then even sponsor people to come and take reins of power. So all across Africa, democracy has been a big business. Now, leadership of countries are given to the best bidders. So if you have more money or if you have good sponsors, they will sponsor your campaign. You win, you come to power, and then they would be behind the scenes looting from the state. That has always been the tool. We did not define democracy on our terms, but this is what I see. It was unfortunate, or it is unfortunate, that we believed that our system of governance was wrong and that theirs was right. Before our colonial masters came, we had our chieftaincy system. And in this chieftaincy system, the chief, yes, is the supreme ruler or leader of the society or of the tribe. But he does not rule alone. Every African society or tribe will have a chief. At the same time, the chief would also have elders, council of elders, that he governs with. So if there is any matter that is brought to them, the chief does not sit down alone, but he consults his council of elders. These council of elders are not anybody at all. These are men or people of the older generation. They are also people who have considerable experience in life, and then also there are people who are also well respected in the community. So they will come together and then they would advise the chief on how to how to move forward. They will sit down and then dissect the matter, and then they will advise the chief on how to proceed. And then the chief would also call the parties involved. The chief would also listen to both sides, and then a judgment is passed. If this is not democracy, I don't know what you term as democracy. If this system does not, afford the fundamental human right, then I don't know what you mean by fundamental human right. Because I know that the natural law of justice is that if anyone is involved in it, at least you need to listen to both parties, you need to listen to both sides, and then you can now make your judgment. And our chiefs were always doing this. And with this form of governance, they were able to maintain peace in our societies. And for centuries, this system of governance worked for us. There was peace. We were moving forward. And then the colonial master came and said, that is bad, ours is good, take ours. And now look at where we are. I believe that as Africans, there is something natural in us that makes us believe or know that this system of governance called democracy, defined by the West, isn't helping us. Because the few politicians amongst us are ganging up with the colonial masters and they are looting the state. But because Africa is rising now, you see what is happening? The military, are taking over power. Because we feel that democracy, as explained to us, as taught to us in schools, is not delivering on what it promises to deliver. So I seriously believe that Africans, especially West Africans, are looking for a better system of governance. I have come to realize that as a people, we do not need democracy. Rather, we need leadership. So this leadership can come in any form. As long as the right leadership is produced, or as long as we get the right leadership, we will give that leader all the maximum support. All the support. So one, you might come to power through a military coup d'etat. If your aim is to be a transition government, I do not think that you have to overstay. Once you set up the right structures, right, the right structure, especially corruption fighting structures and institutions are set up, we have to leave the scene and then ensure that a proper leadership is constituted. So it might be Ghana, it might be Nigeria, it might be Niger, it might be Mali, it might be Burkina Faso. But as long as a people, you decide or we decide on a particular system of governance, I believe that then quickly the interim government will have to make the changes. And then as the system of governance is going, we also have to monitor it closely, and then give constructive criticisms. I believe that as a people, we were not meant to be to be governed by democracy as defined. Please, I'm not talking against democracy, but I'm talking about democracy as defined by the West. Because I strongly believe that we were practicing democracy before the colonial masters came to Africa. But the democracy was not defined on our terms. It was defined on the terms of the West. That's why we are struggling. That is why we are struggling. Because I know that every tribe or every society in Africa respects their local chief. When their local chief gives order, they listen. Now, democracy has been defined by the West. It's actually a tool that have been used to keep us impoverished, to exploit us. Africans, we need to rise. West African nations, let us come together and let us rise. There is a problem. There is a problem. It isn't by chance that these things are happening only in West Africa. No way. What is really happening is that we are awakening from the deep slumber. We are realizing that this system of governance does not work for us. In fact, in any case, what is the real meaning of democracy? The real meaning of democracy is that, it's meant to deliver the will of the people. So if indeed what has been pushed down our throats is democracy, and if we do not want this system of governance, why should the world or the West now tell us that if you do not agree to this system, we are also going to withhold such and such and such from you? It's because that is the only system that helps them loot us. If we as a people have come together and have decided that this system of governance called democracy, defined by the West, is not helping us, rather we are developing a system of governance that is based on the chieftaincy system, or that is based on if it's something else different, that actually delivers our will, our aspirations, and that will help us get to our destination. That is it. That in itself is democracy, because we have expressed our will. So if collectively our will is that one particular person or a monarch or a family somewhere should be those leading us, as long as they will get us to where we are, they will give us the prosperity we want, that is still democracy. Just look at most of these Arab countries, the Dubai, the Qatar, and the rest. They aren't practicing what the West term democracy, but just look at them. They are developing on their own terms. So with the advent of all these coups and all this, I seriously think that it is because it is not delivering the benefits. That's why we are looking for other forms of governance. Africa is rising. We have the power. We have the resources. We have the human resources. We have the natural resources. We have every single thing. It isn't by chance that these things are happening. West African leaders, let us come together. Let us think through and come up with a system that will serve our needs. The West will say whatever they want to say, but if we come together, we will not be dictating what the West will have to do. Because you know what? Ghana and Ivory Coast control 70% of the world's cocoa, right? Ghana produces timber. Ghana produces rubber. Now, Guinea also produces aluminium. in large quantities. Ghana produces oil, Nigeria produces oil. Ghana is the what do you call it? The largest country in gold production. So let's look at all this. So if we should come together and form our own block, have our own. When I say own block, I'm not even talking about ECOWAS, because I don't really think ECOWAS is doing what it's supposed to do. So a new one, and then also come up with a system of governance that works for us. I surely believe that the West will not be able to dictate to us, because we have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the natural resources. They cannot dictate to us. Africa is rising. Let us sit down and think about development on our own terms. We have been forced to think within a certain box that they have defined for us. We shouldn't, or there is no need for us to remain in the box. I do not think there is one system of governance in the world that's fits all. No way. Let's look at our brothers in the Arab nations. They do not practice democracy as defined by the West. But let's look at them. They are developing on their own terms. I think as Africans, we have a lot to copy from. We have a lot to copy from. We should not copy blindly. We are rising, but the thing is, we need to rise on our own terms. I believe that Africa is rising, and that Africans are also waking up. The Great Awakening is now on Africa, and Africa is going to be the next giant in the world. Kindly share your thoughts with me in the comments down below. Like this video, and also share with your friends, and then also kindly subscribe to my channel. Let's create a community that will help lift Africa up.